Good morning, students. Today we will start with one new topic, that is accounting for banking companies. Right now, first and foremost, you know that group 1 may we had company final account, right? So while preparing final account of normal companies, right, schedule 3 guidelines you have to follow of Companies Act 2013. But when you are doing accounting for banking companies, I repeat, when you do accounting for banking companies, schedule 3 guidelines will not be applicable here. Accounting for banking companies, the format of PL, balance sheet, the type, the treatments, the creation of provisions, there are a lot of things that we are going to study in this chapter. All will be as per Banking Regulation Act 1949 and RBI guidelines. Remember, it has to be number 1, Banking Regulation Act, and then as per RBI guidelines. To the format which we have studied in group 1 for company final account, right, while preparing financial statement of companies, that particular format will not be applicable here. Equity liabilities, we had shareholder fund, then we have non-current liability, then we had current liability, then non-current asset, current asset. So that particular format is not applicable here, right? So when you do accounting for banking companies, you have to keep in mind Banking Regulation Act and RBI guidelines. Is that fine, everyone? So what will be the format of PL and balance sheet of a banking company, right? It is prescribed in these rules. Further, we know that balance sheet can be prepared. We have done in our foundation level that balance sheet can be prepared. We have to follow a pattern, right? Either on the liquidity basis or on the basis of permanence. So banking companies major asset, banking companies major asset is what? Banking companies major assets are loan, cash. These are the name of the assets of banking companies. I'll explain you, right? So basically when you prepare the liability side, they follow permanence, and when you prepare the asset side, they follow liquidity. When you prepare the liability side, they follow permanence, and when you prepare the asset side, they follow liquidity. It means financial statement of banking companies, the format of balance sheet of a banking company is in hybrid, right? Some one part is under permanence, another part is under liquidity, right? So here the marshalling is hybrid marshalling we are following, right? So first of all, I would like to tell you what is a banking company. Say for example, I am accepting deposits from public, and I am using it for the purpose of my manufacture or for the purpose of my trade. So in that case, I am not a banking company. The main nature of a banking company is accepting deposits from public. And why do people keep money in bank? You know, to just to safeguard your money, right? To avoid black marketing, right? Black money and all, so that money is properly accounted for. So there are a lot of reasons for this banking system, right? Why do you need to route your money through banking system? So basically, what is the what is the main business of a banking company? Basically, they accept deposits, and they are into lending money business, right? Suppose I run a company and I am accepting deposits from public, right? Public deposits, and I'm using that money either through issue or whatever. I'm accepting deposits from public, and I'm using it for the purpose of my manufacture or trade. So in that case, I'm not a banking company. So the main business of a banking company is basically, if this is a bank, right, accepting deposits from Public. The public keep their money here. Right? Now, they are into lending business. Now there are a lot of ifs and buts. So these type of activities, just like we have buying and selling of goods, right? Buying and selling of goods. That is normal company. But banking business, mein what is the product? Money is the product. You accept deposits from public and you lend it to others. Now, when you accept deposits, it means if they want, they can withdraw any point of time. It means that whenever money is deposited into a bank, so that particular bank should not lend all its money, right? Should not lend all its money to others. So what happens whenever a bank accepts deposits from public? So bank has to maintain some liquidity. Say for example, thousands of persons are depositing money in the bank, but all the person will not withdraw at the same point of time. So what will happen? Bank needs to maintain liquidity with himself and the remaining amount he can lend. Right? Yes or no? So something around 25%. I'll tell you the like how much liquidity the bank should maintain, because that has been RBI time to time issues guidelines on that, and this is known as statutory liquidity ratio. What do you call it as? Statutory liquidity ratio. The amount of liquidity which the bank should maintain with itself is known as statutory liquidity ratio. What it is known as? Statutory liquidity ratio. Right? RBI time to time issues guidelines. So I have accepted deposits from public and I'm maintaining liquidity ratio, say 25%. Right now it's 19%, but let us assume 25%. So remaining 75% I can lend. Now when public deposit their money in the bank, right, they deposit it just to protect, just to safeguard their money. Now why would I trust this particular bank? It's a bank. Now why would I trust this bank? Because RBI is saying I am behind this bank. It means when RBI act as a guarantor, okay fine, you deposit money, if anything happens, I'm there for you. This is what RBI is saying. So these type of banks are known as scheduled banks. So basically everyone would like to keep their money in scheduled bank. No one would like to put up their money in non-scheduled bank. So if the matter is of a trust, no need to worry, you deposit your money in scheduled bank because RBI is there for you. Right? Now, whenever RBI guarantees any bank, say for example, this particular bank has been guaranteed by RBI, so people are depositing their money. So RBI frames the guidelines that you need to maintain whatever money you have deposited, total deposited amount into 4%, that is cash reserve ratio you should maintain with me. Right? Now it is not necessary that you will send this money to me. In your bank, you maintain a cash box and you write cash with RBI and you deposit 4% here. So sir, suppose if I am accepting 100 rupees as deposit, RBI frames the guidelines that you have to maintain cash reserve ratio with me. Because if there are 100 banks, all the banks will not default at the same point of time. So all banks are requested to maintain this cash reserve ratio so that in case of default, RBI can use up this money and fund that particular bank. So anyways, so RBI says, okay fine, whatever you accept deposits, 4% you are going to maintain with me, right? And you do not have to send it every fortnightly, you will have to send me the report, right? Or digitally transfer, whatever may be the guidelines. So this 4% is blocked. So amount available is 960. For that 25% I have to maintain statutory liquidity ratio. So bank has to maintain statutory, this is known as CRR, cash reserve ratio. Then statutory liquidity ratio, that is SLR. Remaining you can lend. Now I am into this business, right, accepting and lending. So what I do when I accept deposits from public, in order to make it that in order to make it beneficial for the depositors, what I will do, I will give them 6% per annum interest on their money deposited with us. Right? Now when I am giving some benefits on deposits, so people would like to hold their money in bank. Further, there is no risk also. So in that case, now I can lend it to others, because say once I lend it to others, and sometimes there might be a case that some banks faces liquidity problems. So in that case, RBI comes in between. Okay, fine, you are facing liquidity, so take this much money from me. That I'll come repo rate and reverse repo rate. Is that fine? Repo rate is when you take loan from bank, when you take loan from RBI, and reverse repo rate is when you give money to RBI. Sometimes you might have surplus, you are unable to lend it to others, so in that case you give it to RBI, right? So as of now we have understood that we are accepting deposits from public, we are lending it to others, but entire deposit cannot be lent. So RBI is acting as a guarantor, so it's a scheduled bank, so RBI tells you need to maintain this much percent as cash reserve ratio, this much as liquidity, and remaining you can lend. So in order to let the people hold the deposit, you make it beneficial for the depositors, you give them interest, right? So this interest that you are giving on deposit is known as interest expended. That is expense. When you lend it to others, you get 10% per annum interest. Right? So this is interest income. So can you tell me what is the net profit of a banking company? Interest income minus interest expended. Yes or no? Interest income minus interest expended, as simple as that. So this is how a banking company's business runs. Further, banking companies provide lot of services, right? They can act as a guarantors. For this they can charge some fees, right? So there are a lot of other incomes as well. So how to calculate net profit of a banking company? Interest income on lending plus other income, commission income, then guarantee, whatever fees for guarantee, right? There are a lot of bank acts as a market maker for currency, dollars. So if I have a say for example I have imported from USA, I have to pay dollar, so I can buy it from the bank. So for currency, bank act as a market maker, right? So you bank also deals in currency, right? So on that also banks earn. So interest income plus other income, commission income, whatever, plus this foreign exchange income, minus interest expended, minus bank's staff salary, bank's rent, advertisements, so basically operating expenses. So that is the operating income of the bank. So interest income plus other income minus interest expended minus operating expenses. Is that fine? So this is how a banking business work. You need to first understand how a banking business works, and then only you will be able to get inside the chapter. So as of now, you accept deposits from public, and you have to maintain cash reserve ratio, that is balance with RBI. Every fortnightly you need to maintain this balance. You need to further maintain statutory liquidity ratio, and remaining you can lend, right? If you are having some liquidity problem, or if you have surplus liquidity, in that case you can give and take money from RBI. You can take money from RBI, that is the rate at which RBI gives money to bank is known as repo rate, and the rate at which bank gives money to RBI is known as reverse repo, right? So there are few terms which I have understood. RBI giving money to bank is known as repo rate. At present it is 4.4. In this pandemic it has been reduced. Previously it was 5.15. 4.40. And when bank gives to RBI, reverse repo rate. Is that fine? So let us move further. Now, when bank accept deposit, there are different types of deposits, such as you can see that saving deposits, generally salaried class persons, they have saving deposits. Then we have current deposits, we have fixed deposit, we have recurring deposits. So current deposits basically businessman opens, right? Because they have to frequently deposit their collections into bank and frequently withdraw for payment to their suppliers. So that is why it's a frequent withdrawal and frequent deposits. So basically bank do not lend money collected on current deposits, because current deposit means today I can withdraw and tomorrow also I can, today I can deposit, tomorrow I can withdraw. So usually bank do not lend this money, and further on current deposits bank do not provide any interest also, right? Then savings, previously savings pay bank used to provide say around about 2%, 3%, but there are a lot of banks in recent years they have increased the savings interest rate to around about 5%, 6%, 6.5%, something sort of that. FD may bank provide 7 to 9% depending upon the terms you are putting in money. The longer the term, the greater would be the interest payable on deposits. Then RD also same thing. So these are the type of deposits. You need to maintain cash reserve ratio with RBI. Every fortnightly you need to check this, right? Total deposits into 4%. You need to maintain your statutory liquidity so that you can easily fulfill the withdrawals and all, and the rest you can lend it to others. Further, you can borrow from RBI as well if you want to lend more, or when you have shortage of funds, right? So on lending you earn. Acha. There are different types of lending. One is the term loan, right? You are giving it for housing loan or any car loan, right? Accordingly you take security from customers. Then you have bill purchased, right? Bank also accepts bills receivable, right? Discounting of bill you might have done in your foundation level. Bill purchased and discounted. Overdraft facility or cash credit. So these are different types of lending which the bank does. So on each type of lending, bank takes interest, right? There can be agricultural loan for one crop season or for two crop season. If it is long duration, then one crop season, short duration, then two crop seasons, right? So there are different types of loan which the bank gives to the customer. So on that loan, bank earns, and on deposit, bank pays interest. So ultimately, the net profit of the bank will be interest income on loans and advances. So whatever money the bank has lent, that is known as loans and advances. So this part will be known as loans and advances. What do you call it as? Loans and advances. And this is known as deposits. This part is known as deposits. Is that fine? So I guess we have done a fair job, right? So let us move ahead. Now, basically, accounting of banking companies means our target will be to prepare profit and loss account and balance sheet of a banking company. And that format is prescribed in Banking Regulation Act, and you have to follow the RBI guidelines. Now, one more thing before moving into this chapter. What we will be doing, there are a lot of accounting treatments of some items that we need to learn before we move into this PL and balance sheet, right? So item wise I will explain you and do sums on that, and then overall we'll try to prepare the PL and balance sheet of a banking company. So the first item of consideration is rebate on bill discounted. Now what is it, we will understand. The first part is rebate on bill discounted. Now basically in your foundation level you have done journal entries in the books of drawer and drawee, right? Now what happens, X draws a bill on Y, bill drawn on Y. Y accepts and returns. So what do you do? For the X it is bills receivable account debit to Y account, and for Y what is it? X account debit to bills payable account. Is that fine? So this is what we have done in our foundation level. Now when X is in need of funds, so X can discount this bill with the bank, X can take loan with the bank, right? Because this type of document is treated as a valuable instrument and bank used to finance against this document, right? Bank will but obvious check the credit worthiness of Y. So when discounting is done with the bank, what entry I pass? So discounting of bill. So what entry I pass? Bank account debit to interest and discount account debit, because I won't get the full amount, to bills receivable account. Yes or no? So I have got the money, but I am going to get less because bank will going to deduct interest charges, as bank is funding me today and bank will take this money from Y after 3 months from now, right? So this is the discounting charge, means expense for me. Is that fine? So this is foundation level. Now we have to think in the books of banking company. Forget what you know. So basically in the books of banking company, bill purchased and discounted account debit, right? To bank will give the money and for that bank will deduct some charges, that is interest and discount charge, right? Now when this case happens, 1st Feb 2019 and bill is of 3 months, means it will mature when? March, April. 1st March it will be 1 month, 1st April 2nd month, 1st May 3rd month plus 3 days grace. So due date is 4th May 19. So today I have discounted the bill. So it is an asset for me because against this I will receive money after 3 months. See, I gave my BR, right? So in my books bills receivable is decreasing. I have given my bills receivable. So in my books bills receivable is decreasing. But in bank books it will increase. Further I have given cash. So say for example the bill is of 1 lakh. So how much will be interest? 3000, because interest will be 1 lakh into 12% into 3 by 12, that comes to how much? 3000 I have deducted and 97,000 I have given. Now on due date, what will happen? On due date, this bank will take this bill to Y and cash account debit 1 lakh to bill purchased and discounted 1 lakh. If the bill is dishonored, then I will debit customer X account. Anyway, I will get my bank money back. I discounted it on behalf of X. I gave money to X. If on due date Y does not pay me, then I will debit X account, which is maintained with me only. So in this case, you can see that I have earned 3000 interest. First of all, I have discounted money with the bank. X has discounted bill with the bank, right? So bank will treat it as an asset. Bill purchased, bank is purchasing the bill against which the bank is lending money after deducting interest. On due date, bank will get 1 lakh against this bill. So whatever interest the bank has earned, that interest is related to this time period which the bank has deducted at the beginning. Yes or no? Whatever interest the bank has deducted, that is related to 1st Feb and 4th May. Now what is happening? In between, here comes 31st March 19, which is the year end. So basically interest from this time period is basically unearned interest. As the bill falls due, as the due date falls after year end, bank has deducted entire interest 3000 at the beginning for these 3 months, but at year end, when you see that this particular bill is falling due in the next year, so from the year end till the due date, whatever interest, that is unearned interest. So unearned interest is what? From the balance sheet date to maturity date. So unearned interest is related from the balance sheet date to maturity date. Should not be credited to PL. So this part of the interest should not be credited to PL, right? And this unearned interest is known as rebate on bill discounted. This is known as rebate on bill discounted. I guess it's absolutely fine with everyone. So whenever the bank discounts bill, right? So bank deducts interest for the entire period. Agar if the due date falls within the year, then no problem. Entire interest is related to this accounting year, so hence should be credited to PL. But if due date falls beyond year end, after year end, then the unearned interest is not to be credited to PL because it is not related to this year. So this part of the interest from the balance sheet date till the maturity date is unearned interest, as the due date falls after year end, should not be credited to PL. So this unearned interest is known as rebate on bill discounted. So how to calculate rebate on bill discounted? How to calculate rebate on bill discounted? That is very simple. 1 lakh into 12% into unexpired period by 365. So that is 1 lakh into 12 by 100 into, after 31st March it is April 30 days, right? April 30 and May 4. So it will be 34 by 365. So just calculate. 1 lakh into 12 divided by 100 into 34. So after April 30 and May 4. So it is like rupees 1118. Is that fine? So I guess there is no problem in that. So on 31st March 2019, number 1, interest and discount account debit 11182. I will transfer it to rebate on bill discounted. Remaining interest will be transferred to PL. So interest and discount account debit to PL 1118. Sorry, it is like total is 3000. Out of that 1118 is, out of that 1118 is rebate. So what is remaining? 1882. 1882. Next year, this rebate on bill discounted entry will be reversed, because next year it falls due, and we know that whatever adjustment entry we pass at the end of the year, that needs to be reversed in the next accounting year. I guess this is absolutely clear with everyone. There should not be any doubt in that. So whenever bank discounts bill, it's an asset for the bank because bank is providing finance, lending money, so it's an asset, right? So whenever bank is funding, so bill purchased and discounted is asset debit. Bank is lending money, right, to cash. Bank will deduct the entire interest at the beginning, right? If the maturity falls within this year, no problem, full interest income will be credited to PL. If the maturity is after year end, then from the balance sheet till the due date, whatever interest, that part of the interest is unearned. So since you deducted it at the beginning, so that part of the interest should be transferred to rebate on bill discounted. It should be transferred to rebate on bill discounted. Remaining interest will be credited to PL. I guess this is absolutely fine. So let us start with problem number 1. Just give a reading and we will start with problem number 1. Absolutely fine with everyone, right? So rebate on bill discounted. First question. Interest oblique from following particulars are extracted from the records of Ram Bank Limited for the year ended 31st March. Rebate on bill discounted opening. So this was last year rebate, but obviously those bills have fallen due, right? Anyway, the bill period cannot exceed 12 months, right? These are maximum 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, like that. So anyway, those bills will fall due within the current year. So opening rebate on bill discounted will again be, last year it was excluded from interest and discount. It will be again transferred. During the year, this much is 6,10,800 is fresh discount received. Right? Now, bill discounted is 24,42,250. This is not the total bill discounted. This interest received, discount received, which is 6,10,800 is of total bill discounted. Say for example, if I have purchased the bill and within the year I have received the payment of that bill, then what will happen? Bill discounted will get cancelled out. So if there is a balance of bill discounted, means these are those bills whose due date is going to fall next year. So the rebate will be calculated only on this bill discounted which is remaining at the year end. अगर कोई बिल ड्यूरिंग द ईयर मैंने डिस्काउंट किया और ड्यूरिंग द ईयर उसका मैच्योरिटी भी आ गया, तो बिल परचेज एंड डिस्काउंटेड कैंसल्ड. सो एट ईयर एंड दिस पर्टिकुलर बिल डिस्काउंट, अब मैंने किसी को लोन दिया, अगर मैंने किसी को लोन दिया, वो बंदा मेरे को चुका दिया ड्यूरिंग द ईयर, तो वो लोन तो खड़ा हुआ नहीं है, लेकिन उसका इंटरेस्ट इनकम होगा, क्योंकि इंटरेस्ट इनकम इज अ नॉमिनल अकाउंट. वी विल टेक इट फॉर द ईयर, वेयर एज एसेट एंड लायबिलिटीज एज ऑन. राइट? So first of all, rebate on bill discounted opening balance. This was last year. This discount received was last year, since the due date was falling next year, so we carried forward last year. So this rebate on bill discounted opening will be transferred, reversed in current year. Fine. Discount received 6,10,800 is on total bill purchased and discounted, and bill purchased and discounted they have given 24,42,250. This is those bill purchased and discounted whose due date will fall next year. Rate of discount is 12%. Analysis of bill discounted they have given. If you add up, right, just add up once all the bill purchased and discounted. Amount is 3,75,000 plus 4,90,000, 2,45,000, 3,68,000, 4,85,000. So you can see that 3,75,000, 490, 2,45,000, 3,68,000 and 4,85,000, that is 19,63,000. Actual में there are more bills. There are more bills, but whose detail is not provided to us. Such as when will be its due date, that is not provided to us, so we won't be able to calculate the rebate. So I am doing the problem ignoring that remaining part. In most of the problems, if you see institute study material, in most of the problems this bill discounted which is there in your trial balance at 31st of March, and when they give analysis of bill discounted, right, this will be same, the total will match. But here the total is coming 3,75,000 plus 490 plus 245 plus 368 plus 4,85,000, that is coming to 19,63,000. But bill purchase and discounted is 24,42,250. It means there are more bills of exchange, there are more bill purchased and discounted, but that particular information is not provided to us. So we are going to deal with only those which have been provided to us. Remaining amount you can get, but what it is due date, because until unless you know the due date, you won't be able to calculate the unearned interest, that is rebate, right? So first of all, you can see that all these bills analysis, whatever analysis they have given, all these bills due date is after 31st March. Just check. Is that fine? So first of all, my target will be to calculate rebate on bill discounted. So there is a working note. Question 1. Statement showing calculation of rebate on bill discounted as on 31st March. Year I don't know. I have due date, then I have amount rupees, then I have number of days, after 31st March, and the last column will be rebate on BD, bill discounted. There are more bill discounted whose due date, because that balance is there, right? So, but I don't know the due date, so I won't be calculated rebate relating to such bills. Anyway, so the first due date is 15th April. The amount is 3,75,000. Then 6th May, amount is 490. Then 1st June, two lakh 45. Then 20th June, is that fine? So now, number of days after 31st March, so 15th April. So I will count from 1st April because I will leave 31st March. After means I will count from 1st April. So 1st to 15, that comes to 15 days, as simple as that. Then 6th May, so April 30. So here it will be 36 days. 1st June, April 30. Right? So you can write like this: 15. April 30. So that comes to 36. Then we have 30. May is 31. /62, 30 plus 31 plus 1. Then 20th June, 30 plus May 31, June 20. So that is coming to 81. Then 4th July, 30 plus 31 plus June is 30 and July is 4. That comes to 95. So for these number of days we are going to calculate rebate on bill discounted, right? Is that fine, everyone? So I guess that's absolutely okay with all of you. So after 31st March, here it is 15 days, here it is April 30 full and May 6 days. April 30, May 31, June 1. April 30, May 31, June 20. April 30, May 31, June 30, July 4. Now calculate rebate on this amount, 12%. So 3,75,000. I'll just show one. 3,75,000 into 12% into 15 by 365, right? So it is like, if I name it as 1, this as 2, so it will be 1 into 2 by 365 into 12%. Amount into 15 by 365 into 12%, right? Let us start. How much? The first one, 3,75,000 into 12% into 15 divided by 365. So that comes to 1849. Next, 4,90,000 into 12% into 36 by 365. That is 4,90,000 into 12% into 36 divided by 365. 5799. 5799. Then 2,45,000 into 12% into 62 divided by 365. 4994. 4994. Right. 3,68,000 into 12% into 81 divided by 365. 9800. 4,85,000 into 12% into 95 divided by 365. So that comes to 15,148. Three seven 590. Is that fine, everyone? Right? So now they have told us to calculate ho gaya amount to be credited to profit and loss account. So part 2 I will answer. Interest and discount credited to PL is equals to opening rebate on bill discounted plus interest and discount. So opening will be transferred to interest and discount, and interest and discount, this is fresh, minus closing rebate on bill discounted. So this was part 1 answer, the statement I have prepared. So this is the total interest and discount which falls next year, means unexpired as of today. This time period is next year. So as of now, this is unexpired. What it is? Unexpired interest. Since interest is collected at the beginning, that is why it is unexpired. In many cases of loan, what happens? Interest is taken after the month end. So there is no point of unearned, right? but here it is collected at the beginning full period, so that is why we have to calculate unearned at year end. So it is like opening is how much? 60,610 plus 610,800 minus 37,590. So how much interest is credited to PL? 60,610 plus 610,800 minus 37,590. 633,820. Is that fine? Part 3 they have told you journal entries. Okay, fine. So during the year journal entry we have already done. Only the adjustments part you have to show now. Right? First of all, the opening rebate will be transferred, right? So when I excluded, so I debited interest and discount and credited rebate. This part of the interest is unearned, unexpired, unearned interest, right? So interest income is credit but unearned, so I debited that and transferred to rebate. So now reverse, rebate on bill discounted will be debited, six zero 610. 2, it will be credited again to interest. Last year it was removed from interest and discount, so now it will be credited again. Already we have credit balance of interest and discount to the extent of 6,10,800, right? That entry is already done because that balance is there in trial balance. So rebate has been again transferred to interest because this was of last year, current year it is earned, so it is transferred. Now closing rebate. So this part of the interest is not earned, so I will remove it from interest and discount. So I have to debit interest and discount account debit 37,590 to rebate on bill discounted. Being unexpired interest or unearned interest transferred to number 3, interest and discount account debit, to PL. How much? 633,820. 633,820. 633,820. This is part 3. The journal entries. Is that fine, everyone? Now sometimes they also tell us to prepare two ledger accounts such as interest and discount and rebate. So that one I will do. Part 4. Ledger accounts. One is interest and discount account. Right. So this is the balance given in trial balance. So what is the first entry? This rebate I debited and transferred and credited interest and discount, right? So here I will write 260,610. So I transferred again to interest and discount. So interest and discount will be credited. So this is opening one. 6160, 610. So this is opening one. Now the closing one will be transferred to rebate. I'll remove it. To rebate on bill discounted 37590. So here it will be 37590. So I have removed this. So what is happening? 2PL, I can write balancing figure or I have calculated also. 633,820, and this will be the closing balance 37590. So I have shown everything in this particular problem, and from next problem onwards, whatever they will ask, that one only I will do. So they might ask us to calculate only the rebate part, this small working note, or they might ask us how much it will be credited, and for this you have to prepare that part 1 anyway, otherwise how you will get this rebate. So part 1 is necessary. Right? For this, part 1 is necessary. And then the journal, and they can also ask us to prepare ledger. I guess this is absolutely fine. Okay. So let us start. Number 2. Similar type of problem they have given, right? Just read it fast. Following facts have been taken out from the records of Bank Limited as on 31st March. Rebate on bill discounted opening, they have given 45,800, right? Discount received is 2,02,500. This is on total bill purchased and discounted during the year, and as of today, 12,25,000 bill purchased and discounted is still left. Means is this much, this bill's due date will fall next year. So analysis they have given, due date they have given. You can just add up the bill amount, 3,75,000 and 150, 525, 2,20,000 plus 4,80,000. So if you add up, it is coming to exactly 12,25,000. Means full analysis of bill purchased and discounted whose due date is falling next year is given. You are required to calculate same, all the three they have asked. Rebate on bill discounted, the journal amount to be credited to PL, and the journal entries. Further, you may have to note that the interest rate of each bill is different. So what I will do, instead of having 4 columns, this time I'll have 5 columns. Right? So part 1, statement showing calculation of rebate on bill discount. I'll move bit fast. The closing one, right? All okay? I guess everything is fine. Now number of days after due date. Number of days after due date. So 8th April is 8 days. 30 plus 5. So that is 35 days. 30 plus May 31, June 12. That is 73. 30 plus 31 plus 30 plus 15. How much? 106 days. Interest rate is 12, 14, 14, 15. So 12, 14, 14, 15. Right? So 3,75,000. So basically what I will do, this is 1, this is 2, and this is 3. So 1 into 2 by 365 into 3. Okay? So here it will come how much? So 3,75,000 into 8%. Sorry, 3,75,000 into 8 divided by 365 into 12%. That comes to 986. Next we have 1,50,000 into 35 divided by 365 into 14%. 2014. Then we have 2,20,000 into 73 by 365 into 14%. We have 6160. Then we have 4,80,000 into 106 divided by 365 into 15%. That is 20,910. So how much? 20,910 plus 6160 plus 2014 plus 986. That is coming to 30,070. Very simple. 30,070. I guess this is absolutely fine with everyone. So what is part 2? Interest credited to PL. That is opening rebate plus interest and discount during the year minus closing rebate. So opening rebate is how much? 45,800 plus interest and discount is 202500 minus 30,070. So here it is 45,800 plus 202500 plus minus 30,070. So 218,230. So opening rebate is, last year it was unearned, so this year it will be earned, plus fresh interest and discount minus closing rebate. 218,230. So part 3 we have journal entries. Right? Debit rupees, credit rupees. First we have rebate on bill discounted account debit to interest and discount. Last year's it will be credited to interest and discount how much? 45,800. 45,800. Then number 2, this year it will be transferred to interest and discount. From interest and discount to rebate. So interest and discount account debit to rebate on bill discounted account, the closing one. Now part 3. Interest and discount account debit to PL, that is 218,230. 218,230. Is that fine, everyone? Right? So that's it for today. Next class we will do few more sums. Till then you can do question number 3 to 6 as homework. Question number 3 to 6 as homework, that I'll discuss in the next class, and accordingly we'll move ahead. Right? Till then, goodbye. Take care.